You won't believe what happened when I moved into my new home. Right from day one, my neighbor, let's just call her HOA Karen, started making life impossible. She wasn't just the usual annoying neighbor. This woman went way beyond petty complaints. One afternoon, out of nowhere, she sent what looked like police officers to my door, demanding I pack up and leave. But here's the twist: those cops weren't real. They were imposters, hired by Karen herself to try and scare me off. It felt like something straight out of a movie, but it was happening in my own neighborhood. Now, most people might have panicked or just given in, but I'm not most people. I'm a U.S. Army general, and I've faced tougher battles than this. The stakes were high, and this wasn't just about a house anymore. It was about standing up to injustice, even when it comes disguised as fake authority. Karen thought she could bully me with fake cops and threats, but she didn't know who she was messing with. The situation quickly spiraled into something much bigger than a simple neighborhood dispute. Throughout this story, you'll see how power, deception, and courage collide in a way you wouldn't expect. I'll take you through the moments that tested my patience and resolve, and how my background shaped the way I handled an outrageous challenge. This isn't just a story about HOA drama, it's about standing firm, no matter what kind of pressure is coming your way. But what happened next? How did I expose the truth behind Karen's fake eviction plot? And what did the so-called cops really want? Stay tuned, because the next part will reveal the shocking details that changed everything. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Before all this chaos started, I thought moving into this neighborhood would be a fresh start. After years of service in the U.S. Army, I was ready to settle down, enjoy some peace, and maybe even get to know the community. I figured a quiet neighborhood with an HOA would mean rules that keep things orderly. But I quickly learned that not every rule is fair, and some people use those rules to control others. Karen was the president of the HOA, and from the moment I introduced myself, she seemed determined to find problems where there weren't any. She complained about everything from the color of my mailbox to the way I parked my car. It felt like she was hunting for reasons to make my life miserable. At first, I tried to stay calm, thinking maybe she just wanted to protect the neighborhood. But her attitude didn't stop. It only got worse. One day, I got a notice from the HOA about a supposed violation. The thing was, the violation was completely made up. When I asked for proof, Karen dodged the questions and kept pushing for me to leave. Then came the fake cops. They showed up, wearing uniforms and badges that looked official but didn't match any local law enforcement. They told me I had to evacuate the property immediately or face arrest. It was surreal, like some twisted prank. But the danger was real if I resisted. Who knew what could happen? I knew I had to handle this carefully. Being a general taught me that sometimes you have to be strategic, not just forceful. But this was personal. It wasn't just about rules or authority. It was about a neighbor abusing power to push someone out unfairly. And the more I dug into Karen's history, the more I found strange things other residents who had faced similar harassment, strange meetings, and secret deals within the HOA. What was really behind Karen's obsession with kicking me out, and how far was she willing to go? The answers were still hidden, but I was determined to uncover them and fight back. As the days went by, the tension in the neighborhood grew thicker. It wasn't just me feeling the pressure. Others started whispering about Karen's aggressive tactics. I met a few neighbors who quietly shared their own stories of run-ins with her, each one eerier than the last. One family told me how Karen once tried to fine them for having the wrong type of garden gnome. Another neighbor said she called the city on their home over a trivial landscaping issue, even though they had all the permits. It became clear that Karen wasn't just enforcing rules. She was using them like weapons. Meanwhile, I was juggling my own investigations. I reached out to local authorities to check on the legitimacy of those cops who showed up at my door. The response was immediate but vague. No officers matching their description had been dispatched. It raised more questions than answers, and I knew I couldn't let it slide. If someone was impersonating law enforcement, it wasn't just a prank. It was a serious crime. The HOA board meetings became another battleground. Karen dominated every discussion, steering conversations to her advantage and shutting down anyone who questioned her decisions. At one meeting, when I tried to bring up the fake eviction attempt, she brushed it off like it was nothing, even smirking as if daring me to take it further. But beneath that confidence, I sensed cracks. People who didn't fully trust her but were too afraid to speak out, adding to the complexity. There were rumors about some behind-the-scenes deals, quiet votes, sudden rule changes, and even a few properties that had mysteriously changed hands under suspicious circumstances. Was Karen involved in something bigger than just neighborhood control? Or was this all just paranoia fueled by stress? Every step I took to uncover the truth only seemed to pull me deeper into a web of manipulation and intimidation. The conflict wasn't just about me anymore. It was about standing up to a system rigged to silence dissent. And with Karen's next move still unknown, the stakes were rising fast. The question was, how far would she go to win? The situation was spiraling faster than I ever imagined. Karen's attacks became more frequent and bolder. One evening, as I was heading home, I noticed unfamiliar cars parked near my house and marked vehicles with tinted windows. My gut told me this wasn't just coincidence. The sense of being watched settled in like a shadow I couldn't shake. Every glance felt heavy. Every knock on the door made my heart race. It wasn't just harassment anymore. It felt like intimidation. On a whole new level, at the next HOA meeting, Karen laid out a new set of rules, clearly designed to make life impossible for me and anyone else she saw as a threat. She had allies, now people who nodded along silently or agreed without question. I realized she had built a small army within the community, and they were ready to back her no matter what. When I stood to challenge her, the room fell cold. The tension was thick, like walking on a tightrope over a deep chasm. I started digging deeper into those strange vehicles and the people behind the fake eviction attempt. My military training kicked in, gathering intel, cross-checking every detail. But the more I found, the clearer it became. Karen's reach extended beyond just the HOA. There were connections to local officials, and some things hinted at something almost criminal in nature. I wasn't just fighting a difficult neighbor, was up against a powerful, well-connected force that wanted me out at any cost. One night, a strange message appeared on my doorstep, warning that if I didn't leave, things would get worse. No signature, just a thinly veiled threat. It was a reminder that Karen wasn't bluffing. The calm before the storm had shattered, and I was standing on the edge of a battle I couldn't back away from. With the neighborhood watching, the fake cops still lingering in my mind, and Karen tightening her grip, I knew the next move would change everything. The question was, would I be ready for what came next? Just when I thought I had a handle on things, another shocking discovery turned everything upside down. Late one night, while reviewing security footage from my home, I caught something I never expected: a familiar face among those unmarked cars lurking outside. It wasn't just any stranger. It was one of Karen's closest allies, someone who'd always seemed harmless at HOA meetings. But seeing him there, acting like part of a covert operation, sent chills down my spine. It wasn't just about fake cops or petty fines anymore. This was a carefully orchestrated campaign to push me out, and it ran deeper than I imagined. The plot thickened when I received an anonymous tip revealing that Karen had been secretly recording private conversations during neighborhood gatherings. Apparently, she was collecting dirt on anyone who challenged her authority, building a database of leverage to use whenever she wanted. It was like something out of a spy thriller, but it was real, and it was happening right here, in what was supposed to be a peaceful community. To make matters worse, I found out that some local law enforcement officials might be involved, or at least turning a blind eye. The fake cops. They weren't just random imposters. They had connections that allowed them to move freely without immediate suspicion. The very system meant to protect me seemed tangled in Karen's web of control. It felt like a trap closing in from every side now. The stakes were higher than ever. This wasn't just a fight over a house or an HOA dispute. It was about exposing corruption and standing up against a powerful network designed to silence me. My military training told me to prepare for anything, but even I wasn't ready for how far this would go. As Karen tightened her grip, threatening everything I'd worked for, the neighborhood watched in silence. The question wasn't just whether I'd survive this battle, it was what I would have to sacrifice to finally break free. The tension was unbearable, and the next move would decide it all. The moment of truth came faster than I expected. After gathering enough evidence about Karen's schemes, the fake cops, the secret recordings, and her network of Alizai, decided it was time to confront her head-on. But instead of doing it alone, I reached out to a few neighbors who had been quietly suffering under her rule. Together, we organized a community meeting, one that Karen wasn't prepared for. As the meeting started, I laid out everything: the impersonation of law enforcement, the intimidation tactics, and the illegal recordings. I had documented proof, footage from my security cameras, and even testimony from those who had been silenced before. The room fell silent. Some neighbors looked shocked, others relieved to finally hear the truth. Karen's confident facade began to crack just when it seemed like she might fight back. A local police officer, someone I had quietly contacted earlier, walked in. He confirmed that the officers at my door were indeed imposters and that an investigation was already underway. The tension was thick, but the balance was shifting. Karen's web was unraveling in front of everyone. In a final twist, Karen tried one last desperate move. She pulled out a folder, claiming she had dirt on me, something that would ruin my reputation. But as she opened it, the room gasped. It was all false, planted evidence intended to discredit me. I had anticipated this and brought my own counterproof. To clear my name, the HOA board was forced to suspend Karen immediately, and local authorities took over the investigation into her illegal actions. The neighborhood began to breathe easier, no longer under her shadow. But even as the dust settled, I knew this wasn't just about one bad neighbor. It was a reminder of how easily power can be abused and how important it is to stand firm. As I looked around at the faces of my neighbors, I realized this fight had changed us all. Yet, just when I thought it was over, a new message arrived, this time from someone nobody expected. The battle might be won, but the story was far from finished.